Today's lesson is no bag, no tie, no problem. Hi, everybody. My name is Roger.
And I'm Mike.
And today we're going to be talking about job interviews with the help of a library. Okay, I don't really understand the connection there. Of course, if you go to the library, you can do some research on the company you're going to in order to look smart and informed at the interview. That could be one possible relationship. But in today's program, we're going to talk about another reason you want to go to the library before a job interview.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting way of helping the community while also keeping the library relevant, because far too often we read news stories about governments cutting their budgets, and often one of the first things that gets cut when they're really looking to save money is they shut down libraries. I guess they feel that people can, get books very easily on Kindle and things like that, or people read less anyways. Fewer people go to the library, but that's kind of the reason the library is most important and should be most protected, because if we lose them, it's going to be really hard to get them back. So this program is kind of helping the community, as libraries do, of course, by giving people a place to study and borrow books, but also helping it in another way by helping people in the community improve their own lives through the help of the library and not just through books and knowledge. So it's a really interesting program.
Yeah, we're going to find out exactly what they're letting people borrow from the library in today's program. So let's find out what that is. Let's listen to the first part, and we'll be right back to discuss it.
No bag, no tie, no problem. Job interviews are typically nerve-wracking events, and most people will have at least a few over the course of their lives. On top of the anxiety they generate, job interviews can also be expensive, since the business attire needed to make a good first impression can cost a pretty penny.
大家好，第一部分我们可以看到片语 on top of 加名词，它指的是除了点点点之外还点点点。例如 On top of the bonus, Michael's boss gave him a 5% raise. 除了奖金之外 Michael 的老板还帮他加薪 5%。 再举一个例子 Kevin has had a bad week. He lost his glasses on top of losing his wallet. Kevin 度过了一个不顺的一周，除了他的钱包不见了，他的眼镜也不见了。另外介绍他的同义片语 In addition to, addition, A-D-D-I-T-I-O-N, in addition to. 我们来看一个例子 In addition to acting, Will also sings in a band. 除了演戏之外 Will 还在一个乐团里唱歌。下一个我们看到名词 impression， 它的意思是印象或是感想。例如My first impression of Judy was that she was a confident and capable person. 我对 Judy 的第一印象是她是个有自信又有能力的人。另外补充这个字的动词 impress, I-M-P-R-E-S-S, impress, 它有使印象深刻或是使钦佩的意思。例如 The basketball player impressed the crowd with his jumping ability. 那名篮球员的跳跃能力让观众留下深刻的印象。再举一个例子 Susan's amazing voice really impressed the judges. Susan 的天籁嗓音确实令评审印象深刻。
Okay, so the title says no bag, no tie, no problem. Now, if you go to a job interview, it's going to make a good impression on the interviewer that you have maybe some kind of briefcase or a bag or something like that that makes you look professional and makes you look like you've got experience and things like that. And you also want to wear a tie, and which would go good with a shirt and a suit and things like that. But a lot of people, especially students, don't own such garments. And they need to spend a lot of money to purchase them for that job interview. So, yeah, that's kind of a difficult situation for people having their first job interviews. But this will be no problem at this particular library.
Absolutely. That's very cool because, as it says, job interviews are typically nerve-wracking events. If something is nerve-wracking, it makes you very nervous. In other words, a job interview, asking someone to marry you, your first day at a new school, something something like that. These can be very nerve-wracking, very anxiety-inducing, you might also say. It just causes you to lose sleep and to feel very nervous the day of or the day before. And most people, of course, will have at least a few job interviews over the course of their lives or through the period of their lives, through their life. At some time, we will probably all go on a few different job interviews at various times. So over the course of just means as we run through something, as we go through something. So over the course of the movie, the actor, beat up many bad guys or something like that from the beginning to the end. So yes, job interviews make people anxious and nervous.
Indeed, it's nerve-wracking. It makes you anxious and nervous, as you said. And over the course of your life is just during your life, but we kind of stress over the course of to emphasize the fact that there are a lot of things that happen in your life, like in a course, like an obstacle course or a golf course where you have to confront many different challenges before you can finish a round of golf. And yes, indeed, you will come across these job interviews at some point or another. On top of the anxiety they generate, job interviews can also be expensive, since the business attire needed to make a good first impression can cost a pretty penny. So on top of something means in addition to. You're already nervous enough in addition to the anxiety that these job interviews will create or generate. They can also be quite expensive. So yes, they're not only nerve-wracking, but they're also expensive because you need to wear some business attire. Here, attire just refers to clothing. It's a formal word for clothing. You wouldn't call t-shirts and shorts attire. Well, you might, but usually when I see the word attire, I think of more formal clothing.
Oh, okay. I guess you could also talk about beach attire or evening attire, certain outfits, certain appropriate clothing to talk about wearing in a certain appropriate situation. And of course, when you're going to a job interview, you want to have business attire, professional-looking clothing, and you want to make a good first impression. Your impression of something is what you first think about it the first time you experience it or meet it or see it or try it or something like that. When we talk about making a good first impression, this is the kind of thing you want to do at that job interview or when you're meeting your boyfriend or girlfriend's parents for the first time or something like that. Basically, when you meet that person, what do they think of you in the first few seconds and minutes that you encounter them? A good first impression will leave that person you're meeting thinking good things about you. And of course, at a job interview, this is very important. The problem is, though, that some of this business attire that you need to make a good first impression, that you need to have people respect you when they first meet you, can cost a pretty penny. If something costs a pretty penny, we're basically just saying it can be quite expensive. Yeah, going out and buying a nice suit and shirt and tie and the leather shoes and the belt and all the other stuff you need to look like a business person, or to wear a nice business suit or a skirt and blouse, the kind of ensemble, that can be quite expensive. It can cost a pretty penny, especially for young people, maybe going out to look for their first job and they don't have the money to go out and buy a $200 or $300 US suit. So what can they do? They still want to make a good first impression, but they don't have the money for the professional clothing.
Okay, so that's where this library comes in. Let's find out more specifically what this library is and what it does. Let's listen now to the second part, and we'll come right back to discuss it.
That's where the New York Public Library's Riverside branch comes in. Thanks to the branch's innovative Work Fashion Library, members can now borrow neckties, briefcases, and other business accessories, just like they can borrow books. Librarian Michelle Lee proposed the concept after realizing that some of the students she was helping prepare for interviews didn't know how to dress the part or simply couldn't afford professional clothing. Her proposal was accepted, and the Work Fashion Library was soon turning heads. Now, any library member owing less than $15 in fines can borrow whatever accessories they need for interviews, weddings, or any other occasion calling for a formal look.
第二部分我们介绍形容词 innovative， 它指的是创新的，也可以是具有革新精神的。例如 Many innovative designs were on display at the Tech Expo. 许多创新的设计在那个科技博览会中展出。或者 This new phone features innovative designs at an affordable price. 这只新手机标榜创新的设计和亲民的价格。 接下来我们看到名词 accessory， 它的意思是配饰、饰品或是配件。举例来说 Your blouse would look great with those lovely gold accessories. 你的衬衫搭配那些漂亮的金饰会很好看。又或者说 You can find accessories like scarves, bracelets, and rings in this section of the store. 你可以在店里的这个区域找到围巾、手镯和戒指等配饰。再来介绍一个形容词 professional， 它有专业的或是职业的意思。例如 My coach doesn't think I'm good enough to become a professional tennis player. 我的教练认为我能力不足以成为职业网球运动员。或是 We run this business in a professional manner. 我们以专业的态度来经营这笔生意。
Okay, so we've got this problem. We've got young people. They're already nervous enough and they need to go to their first job interview, but they don't have the proper business attire because it's so expensive. It can cost a pretty penny. Well, that's where the New York Public Library's Riverside branch comes in. So we often use this pattern when we talk about somebody coming to the rescue or taking their role now that there's this problem. That's where this library comes in. That's why we have this library. They're going to take over and they're going to help solve this problem.
Thanks to the branch's innovative work fashion library, members can now borrow neckties, briefcases, and other business accessories just like they can borrow books. Yeah, exactly. So it's a work fashion library, not a book or magazine or reference book library, a work fashion library. And of course, this idea of a library lending out clothing instead of books is very innovative. Something very innovative is novel, unique, probably done for the first time, creative in some kind of way, imaginative in some kind of way. If you have an innovative app, you're probably going to be a billionaire within a couple of years. An innovative business will provide a service or be providing a product that almost no one else provides, and it's very original. And you're probably using technology in a new way or using even something as old as a library in a new way. And it's thanks to this new program. When we say thanks to, we're giving credit to something, we're showing where the praise goes, who did it for the first time, and it's a good thing that we're sort of pointing out. It's a good thing we're bringing attention to. So this very unique work fashion library, members of the library can now borrow things like they would borrow books, but in this case, it's clothing and other accessories.
Yep, they can borrow neckties, which of course is a tie. You can also borrow a briefcase and other business accessories, just like they can borrow books or check out CDs or movies or whatever. So, of course, a briefcase is a special kind of container for business people to have all their important documents in. And indeed, that's something you want to have with you to make yourself look very professional. And there are other business accessories as well, besides a tie and a shirt and a suit. But again, you can check these things out from the library, and then you need to return them when you're done with them.
There you go. Maybe laptop bags, maybe little leather folders that you can put notebooks in or things like that. Basically, all the things you need to look like a young professional going off to a job interview, so you don't end up doing the interview in your jeans and t-shirt from home. It's a very interesting idea. It says librarian Michelle Lee proposed the concept after realizing that some of the students she was helping prepare for interviews didn't know how to dress the part or simply couldn't afford professional clothing. So one of the people working at the library, a librarian, this is a trained position. You can actually study a university degree to be a librarian, but basically you know how to organize and run a library to the most efficient level possible. You can provide all types of services to people who come in. She proposed, she sort of had this idea and suggested this idea or this concept after realizing that some of the students she was helping prepare for interviews, so maybe high school graduates or for people who are in college and looking to get their first job. They can come in and get a little training, a little coaching on how to write a resume or a CV, how to conduct themselves in an interview, how to answer questions in ways that will, impress the potential boss and that type of thing. So she gets these young people ready to do their job interview. But she realized a lot of them didn't know how to dress the part. When we talk about dressing the part, we're basically saying dress appropriately, dress to fit the situation, right? If you're dressing the part to go to a wedding, you might be wearing slightly formal clothes. If you're dressing the part to help your friend paint their living room, you don't want to wear your best suit. You would wear your dirtiest jeans and t-shirt. You're basically wearing clothes that fit what you are doing. In this case, they didn't have the money or didn't know how to look like young professionals going off to do a job interview.
Yeah, professional here just means having to do with a job that requires a lot of training and education. Now, her proposal was accepted, and the Work Fashion Library was soon turning heads. It was soon getting attraction from people. Now, any library member owing less than $15 in fines can borrow whatever accessories they need for interviews, weddings, or any other occasion calling for a formal look. That's quite nice. So if you have fines for less than $15, then you qualify. You can check these things out, and I'm sure you can pick and choose your sizes and match the colors and stuff like that. I suppose some of these articles of clothing are donated as well.
Yeah, and it's nice also that even if you owe the library some money for not returning books, and in other words, maybe if your family is having some financial problems, and that's part of the reason you can't buy these clothes, even if you owe the library a little bit of money, they will still give you the benefit of the doubt and do the kind thing to give you this clothing that you need for your interview, but also for your wedding. Maybe if your sister or cousin is getting married and you don't want to wear your jeans to the wedding, you can borrow a suit for that, or any other occasion, possibly a funeral, who knows, going to court, types of situations like that where you have to dress the part and look professional. That's what we talk about when calling for or requiring a formal look, requiring men to be in a suit, women looking smart and not looking like they're hanging out with their friends on the weekend. You can borrow all of that stuff from the library, along with books.
Along with books, indeed. Yeah. Pick up a book while you're there after you've tried on a suit. Okay, that brings us to the end of the second part of our lesson. Let's listen now to the third and final part.
In addition, the library also offers valuable resources for job hunting and interview preparation. Therefore, while Lee can't guarantee anyone a job, she is helping to ensure that everyone can look sharp and be well prepared for any interview, no matter how stressful.
最后第三部分我们看到单字 guarantee， 它是动词，指的是保证、确保或是使点点点必然发生。例如 The salesperson guaranteed that the car was the best on the market. 那名业务员保证这款车是市面上最好的。
Okay, so this is great. You can go to this particular branch of the New York Public Library and check out formal clothing for a job interview or any occasion which requires a formal look. Now, in addition, the library also offers valuable resources for job hunting and interview preparation. Okay, so there are probably some books there that give you tips on how to perform during an interview, how to research the company that you're going to be applying to, etc. You've got lots of resources there. I believe you say resources, right, Mike?
Yeah, sometimes.
Sure. So that's a different pronunciation there. And therefore, while Lee can't guarantee anyone a job, she is helping to ensure that everyone can look sharp and be well prepared for any interview, no matter how stressful. So here to guarantee just means to assure someone that something's going to happen in the future. And if it doesn't, then they can get something from you, some kind of money perhaps, like a money-back guarantee. If you buy something and you're not satisfied, you can return the product for a full refund. There's a money-back guarantee. And she's saying, well, I can't guarantee you a job. All I can do is help you prepare. and you're going to look sharp, which means you're going to look snazzy, spiffy. You're going to look your best.
Absolutely. So, we can't promise you a job, but we can promise that you will look good when you go to the interview. What happens in the interview is, of course, up to the young people themselves, but at least with the help of the librarian Michelle Lee, they won't sort of trip over themselves and fail the job interview just by not looking right. They'll have all the things they need to look right. And then, of course, with a bit of help through the job hunting and interview preparation, hopefully they will hit a home run in the interview and get themselves a better job than they might have had if they didn't have the right look.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. Let's hear what Hanny has to say now.
各位同学大家好，我是 Hanny。 我们今天要来练习克漏字的题型，那先看文章的5个题目咯。第一句他说 On top of the anxiety they generate, job interviews can also be expensive since the business attire needed to make a good first impression, 空格。他是说除了引发焦虑外，工作面试可能也会花很多钱，因为要留下良好第一印象的这个商务服装，空格。那这边是考我们语义，来看 A 选项 shows an employee's integrity 表示展现一位员工的正直。 B guarantees one's success 保证一个人的成功。 C will be useful in daily life 在日常生活中很实用。 D can cost a pretty penny 表示要花不少钱。那因为前半句他有提到工作面试可能会花很多钱，我们就可以判断空格里面要填入工作面试昂贵的原因，所以最适合的答案是 D can cost a pretty penny。好，第二题他写到空格 The branch's innovative work fashion library. Members can now borrow neckties, briefcases, and other business accessories. 他是说空格该分馆创新的工作时尚图书馆，会员现在可以借领带、公事包和其他商务配件……那这边是在考我们片语介系词。选项 A thanks to 表示由于因为。B regardless of 表示不管无论。那么 C ahead of 表示在……之前。D except for 表示除了什么什么。从语义上来看，它应该是要表达因为有这个分馆创新的工作时尚图书馆，所以会员现在就可以怎么样怎么样。这个前后句子之间我们可以看出是具有因果关系的，那么答案就是选 A thanks to。 第三句他说 Librarian Michelle Lee proposed the concept after realizing that some of the students she, 空格 prepare for interviews didn't know how to dress the part or simply couldn't afford professional clothing. 图书馆员 Michelle Lee 在意识到她空格准备面试的一些学生不知道如何穿着得体，或纯粹买不起专业的服装后，提出了这个概念。好 dress the part 就是表达穿着适宜、打扮得体的意思。我们先来看看选项 A helps, B is helping, C was helping, D would help。这边就是在考我们动词时态咯。由于这句是在描述过去发生的事，所以这个选项 A helps 和 B is helping 可以删除不考虑。再来看到句子的结构，我们看到 realizing 后方是一个 that 子句， that 子句里面的主词是 some of the students， 然后后方这个 she 空格 prepare for interviews 是关系子句，用来修饰这个主词。所以some of the students she 空格 prepare for interviews 是在表达他协助准备面试的一些学生，然后后面才是动词 didn't know……那从语义上来判断，这个空格呢，我们就可以用过去简单式helped 去描述过去某个时间点发生的事，也可以用过去进行式 was helping 来表达正在进行的动作，或者是还可以用过去完成式 had helped 去表达已经完成的动作。好，那这里的选项 D would help 则是用过去的角度来描述未来可能发生的情况，这时候跟语义不符合，所以呢，我们这题答案应该要选 C was helping。好，看到第4题，他说 Her 空格 was accepted and the work fashion library was soon turning heads。 她的空格获得采纳， 而工作室上图书馆很快就引起人们注意。Turn heads 字面意思是转头，用来表达可能因为格外有趣啊、美丽或是与众不同而受到关注、引人注目。就像我们看到有一个美女或帅哥走过去，你可能会转头看一下，哦，这个人长得怎么样，会特别注意一下，对不对？好，那这边是在考我们字汇，我们来看选项 A approval 表示同意赞同， B disposal 表示清除或是处理， C proposal 是提案提议， D removal 表示移除消除或去除。从语义上来看，应该就是要表达他的提议获得采纳，所以最适合答案是 C proposal。 好，第5题他说 Now any library member owing less than $15 in fines can borrow whatever accessories they need for interviews, weddings, or any other occasion, a formal look。现在欠款少于$15的图书馆会员都可以借用任何他们需要的配饰，用在面试啊、婚礼或是任何其他穿着正装的场合。好 ，fine 在这里是当名词，是指罚款罚金哦。那这题考我们片语动词，来看选项 A looking up to 可以表达敬重、敬仰或是仰慕， B calling for 表示需要，它也有呼吁的意思， C relying on 表示依靠或是仰赖， D accounting for 表示对什么做出解释说明，也可以表达在数量上它是占了多少多少。好，那么看到面试啊、婚礼其实都是需要穿着正装的场合，从语义上来看，我们最适合的答案就是 B calling for， 所以 any other occasion calling for a formal look 就是表达任何其他需要穿着正装的场合。好，那么以上是今天的讲解，我们就来回顾今天的单字吧。
Impression. Roderick's confident attitude made a positive impression on his date. Innovative. The company's innovative approach to product design sets it apart from its competitors. Briefcase. Miss Chapman carried her work files in a leather briefcase. Accessory. A scarf can be a great accessory to a coat in winter. Professional. Following extensive training, Alfredo was able to find work as a professional chef. Guarantee. Due to the major storm, the express service can't guarantee delivery of the package by tomorrow.
Well, that brings us to the end of another edition of our program, and please make sure you join us again next time. From all of us here, I am Mike.
I am Roger. See you next time.